maybe, I guess, where the key target area is going to be for you guys?
Yeah, I think like every week, it has to be around stoppages in the midfield. They've got a very strong midfield. They've got quite a few injuries, but not many to their top liners. Beams out will help. So we've got a big ask there again. And other players who were involved there last week did a really good job. So hopefully they can back up again this weekend.
I see in the paper this morning you were quoted as saying that there's a genuine rivalry between the Lions and the SUNS. On a scale of teams that the SUNS play, where do the Lions sit as far as intensity?
Yeah, well, I've only been here the 1 year, so for me, those sort of that hasn't been a big rivalry, but you can see there is a rivalry. It's probably more. You see quotes in the press from Brisbane, probably more than us, to be honest. But obviously there is a bit, because they're both in the same state. I suppose South Australia and West Australia is the same. So I haven't seen the intensity of the rivalry yet, but maybe over years that might build.
You've seen those quotes from Justin Leppich saying the SUNS have had such a leg up in recent years with all their draft picks and whatnot. Have you got any comments on that?
Yeah, it's interesting because he's obviously comparing with us, but they're an established club. We're just a start-up club. And I was in the Brisbane Bears and we got draft picks and players, and then they went to Brisbane and they got Fitzroy joined them, and they got more draft picks. So they've had the same 25 years ago. They had the same, and they won premierships. I would have thought Brisbane need to compare with Carlton and St Kilda and Melbourne. They're an established club. They've had some success, and look at Geelong, have won 3, and they're still up. So they made good decisions along the way. So I don't think you really should maybe compare them with us because we're just different entities.
Do you think Leppich is just having a whinge?
Oh, that's for you to judge, probably.
Can you just elaborate on Brisbane's midfield, Rocket? You said that you rated them. Obviously, you played a very good midfield last week and maybe cut level with West Coast. How good are Brisbane's midfield?
Yeah, no, obviously Hanley's just starting to get back some form. He's been back a little bit. I think he's a game changer. Redden, Robinson seems to be playing quite well. Christensen's recruited to be able to play there. Obviously, Beams is out. Rich can go there. Hasn't played there a lot lately. Rockcliffe's obviously a very good player as well. So they've got 4 or 5 really good players that can play through there. So we've got a fair bit of inexperience in that area, but the players did the job last week. So hopefully they can do it again.
Who spends more on their footy department, Rocket, you or Brisbane?
I think I was told, I don't know about Brisbane spend, I was told that we were either equal last or second last, which I think I know the other team that's equal with us. So on those figures, what I've been told, that I would think they do.
Do you get a little bit tired of everyone saying that you're cashed up AFL baby, when you live in caravans and,
Oh yeah, I think there's a misperception. No, we've got 7 coaches. I know teams, and I think Brisbane as well, have got 10. So we're under resourced compared to every other club. And as you said, the facilities are poor. We're in portables. There's a whole range of things that we're behind other clubs. And as you said, that we're second last footy spend in the competition. So when you try and better yourself and you try and get some staff to actually make your organisation better, it's disappointing that the top teams who've got a lot of money want to actually criticise you for that, but they're quite happy to spend the money. So I think it's a ruthless competition. You've got to get better.
How much does it hinder you? How much does it hinder you, do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to put a figure on that. I mean, being at the Bulldogs when I was there, they were low spend. I think they're still low spend. You just got to make good decisions. You've got to be efficient with your spend. Certainly you'd like to have a bit more. Hopefully we can prove the AFL that we do spend it efficiently, but we are behind. I think we're still 2 million behind the 8th team in the competition in spend. So it's still a lot of money. And when you do that over 5 years, there's 10 million. So you actually get behind the 8 ball a bit. And I think it's proven the teams that are on top of the ladder, the top 4 or the top 4 spend. I don't think it guarantees your success. Like if you spend, you may finish out of the 8 down. And there's an outlier, but generally the team that can actually spend the money is the team that actually gets a chance for a premiership.
You're a drawn game ahead of them on the ladder. They seem to be of the opinion they deserve priority picks and they need a bailout, and no one seems to be saying the same thing. What do you think of their request And do you think that if they were to get one, you'd be justified in asking for one too?
It's interesting. I don't think we're justified. I think, again, to the previous question, I think it's more about established clubs. Brisbane finished 7th last year and they recruited midfield, and I heard Brisbane say they thought they had a chance to push towards the 8. So it's more probably aligned with Melbourne, who stand to be corrected, 36 or 38 games in 8 years that they've won, and they didn't get a priority pick last year. So the AFL haven't set down what the criteria is for priority picks, but if you compare it to what's happened before and what happened to Melbourne last year, you wouldn't think that they would.
And can I ask about you said the rivalry hasn't built, and I think both clubs have been reluctant to really talk it up because the crowds haven't responded yet. But there's barely a Q clash happens without someone getting rubbed out. Like they're physical games.
Yep.
Stephen May, Rains on Ablett, Merritt got swallowed. There's just a couple off the top of my head, and I think they're pretty frequent. So, do you think the players?
I think I think the players is more. I think there's maybe a genuine feeling about that. Probably the bragging rights internally, in Queensland, southeast Queensland. So, I think the players got an extra edge to it. Having heard what's happened in the past, as you've just mentioned, and it's a bit like the Collingwood-Carlton, even though it's not that extent of rivalry, but it's no matter where you're on the ladder, there tends to be a bit of edge to it. There's no doubt whether you're up in the 8 or whether you're down the bottom like we are at the moment. And I think there'll be a bit of edge to the game on the weekend.
Rock, have you got any thoughts on the future trading of draft picks? Or?
I haven't looked into it greatly. General feeling in the AFL that I think it's a good thing. I think the AFL itself have probably done the right thing to try and have a softer landing so clubs can't trade away their future exponentially. So it's obviously only can do it for one season. So especially now that you've got the bidding system or the point system in for father, son and academy, that some teams are going to be short of points. Say Sydney this year have got a couple of really good kids, so they might be short. So be able to trade a future pick actually gives them those points to be able to get those lads. So I think on the surface it sounds like a good thing.
Rocket, would I be able to just get a quick line on Nick Marcheski by any chance, just about what he's brought to the club this year on and off the field? In terms of
he's brought a lot, certainly off field. His leadership and that's been terrific. He's had really an up and down year. He struggled early, had that cyst in his back of his knee, probably didn't play anywhere near his ability. Then he came back about the bye and he steadily built from there. Last week he copped a knock early in the game but was able to play through it. But his form's trending in the right way. So his experience really helps because we're obviously a young team, but his experience is certainly invaluable at the moment because now with Ricciatelli back, but last week we only had 2 players I think above 90 games. So having Risha back will help, but Mal helps out as well.